Hi, and welcome back to David Pattinson's Accused Friends. Today I want to talk about why I think this NHS Test and Tracing app is both unlawful and unconstitutional, and also why I won't be having a single thing to do with it. And I think the first reason that I think it's unlawful is because it violates citizens' rights to not be harassed with unlawful searches and seizures. If the police are going to search your personal property, which includes your body, they have to have a warrant. And in order to get a warrant, they have to have probable cause that you're about to commit a crime. And people will say, well, look, David, we're in the middle of a big pandemic that's wiping people out left and right. And, they still have to know or have some sort of probability that you're unwell. Now, they might see you coughing, sort of walking into your house or whatever on a train, but they cannot just compel or force you to take these tests or download this app or whatever. And Hancock's talking about how we're going to make it voluntary to start with, but if people don't comply with the voluntary nature of it, we're going to make it compulsory. And it's a bit like you being confronted with an armed robber who says, hand over your money voluntarily, or, I'll shoot you and take it anyway. And, this is the way what the government's become. It's just a bunch of bully boy tactics. It's government through threat, government through coercion, government through force, rather than government through democracy, where the people actually get a say in what they want to do. And the other thing this tracing app does is it totally violates not only a citizen's right of presumption of innocent until proven guilty, which is pretty much dead now in the country, but it also violates guilty until proven innocent. And this is the big thing. This takes us back to Alison Saunders. Alison Saunders' nickname was guilty until proven innocent. But, in her defense, and it's not like me to jump to her defense, she at least let accused men try and prove their innocence in court. Now, she'd obviously manipulated the court case, manipulated all the evidence against them to make it extremely difficult. But, at least she was going to go through the motions of making it look like a fair trial. Under the NHS Test and Tracing app, there's not going to be any, ability to prove your innocence in court. You're not going to court. You're just guilty as charged. If the test comes back positive, you're guilty. Forget about a lawyer, forget about court, forget about appeal. That's it. And there was, some incredible information about this in yesterday's Mail Online. And I just want to read you a couple of paragraphs here, which kind of took my breath away, and I thought it'd be pertinent to share. So this is a quick summary of how this test and tracing app works. Under the plan, anyone with symptoms will immediately self-isolate and book a test, either at a testing centre or delivered to their home. Their household should start a 14-day isolation period too. If the test proves negative, everyone comes out of isolation. So you're off the hook there, But if the test is positive, NHS contact tracers or local public health teams will call, email, or send a text asking the testee, to share details of the people you have been in close contact with and places you have visited. This NHS testing team then emails or texts the close contacts that you've been in contact with, telling them they must stay home for 14 days, even if they have no symptoms, presumption of guilt, to avoid unknowingly spreading the virus. And, with this virus, are we now assuming that just because you have the virus, you're automatically a transmitter? Has the government gone to court to prove that? I don't think so. At its launch yesterday, Matt Hancock called on every individual to do their bit. He said, "It is your civic duty. This will be voluntary at first because we trust everyone to do the right thing, but we can quickly make it mandatory if that's what it takes." So, good luck with the voluntary testing. It's going to be mandatory off the bat, if you don't comply. And this trust nonsense is something that the government are trying to roll out now. They didn't trust the public to, contain the virus on their own. You had to be forced into lockdown. But now we're going to have the pretense of trust, with the mandatory threat of force coming in right behind it. And I think we've got to take into consideration, the ways that this system can be abused. What about false accusations? What if you get a guilty as charged on the testing app? Instead of talking about, your nice friends and family that you might have been put into contact with, you talk about all your enemies, the people you don't like. So all those people then have to go into isolation for 14 days, when they didn't actually come into contact with you. Do they get the right of appeal? Said, I didn't come into contact with Johnny. I haven't seen him for 3 years. Last time we had a financial dispute over our business. Are the enemies going to get a chance to prove themselves innocent, or are they just going to be forced into mandatory quarantine anyway? So I think it's ripe for abuse. The trust issue is totally gone. And I think, for the feminist movement, I did want to make a point on this. I mean, where the hell have the feminist movement been during this lockdown? We had all these endless abortion rallies and marches with women saying, my body, my choice. But when it comes to compulsory face masks and compulsory vaccines and compulsory test and trace situations, where's my body, my choice then, And also, why can't we extend this to men? If it's your body, your choice, you can reject all this stuff. But if it's not your body, your choice, then you can't. Also, what about consent? If you're a woman, or if you're a guy that's been with a female in a romantic situation, the guy then gets guilty as charged on the test and tracing app. He can say, oh yeah, I was with Jenny. Let me give you the government, Jenny's home address, Jenny's phone number, Jenny's social media account, so you can inform her without her consent. What about if Jenny doesn't want all her personal details being shared with the government? What about women's sex lives? I know women don't like to, publicize the romantic partners they've had before, but what if you're a female, you get guilty as charged on the test and tracing app, you've got to say, oh yeah, I was involved romantically with Jim, I was involved with Johnny, I was involved romantically with Phil, I was romantically involved with Julian, all in the past 3 days. You've now got to give all that information to the government. And, we're assuming the government's going to keep all this info private. But what if they don't? What if they leak it online? What if, they want to put in the news? What if it's a famous person, a famous woman? She's having an affair with a few different guys on her husband. That gets leaked into the news. So, I am very surprised that the feminist movement is so quiet during this lockdown on so many things that they claim to dislike about society in general. Now when this, these privacy abuses are coming like a tsunami straight at you, the feminist movement has gone quiet all of a sudden. So to finish, I just want to say, I'm not speaking for other people, I'm just totally speaking for myself. I won't be having anything to do with this test and tracing app. And if the government want to take me to court, I totally welcome that. Because when you go to court, the Bill of Rights kicks in. The government have to prove the case against me. They have to prove that I am unwell, which I may or may not be. They have to prove that I have to take a test, with or without probable cause. And they have to prove that if I have the virus, that I am a transmitter, whether I'm interacting with other people or not. And I think that burden of proof is so high, I would not be forced to take it. I'd be judged by a jury of my peers. And, I think there's so few people speaking up against this stuff, the jury would totally respect me and I'd be cleared. And that's why I'm so bullish about this Simon Dolan case, because the burden of proof is on the government. They can't just get up in front of a lectern at Downing Street and dictate to the country. They actually have to prove their case in court. And I think if Dolan wins, which I expect that he will, all this stuff will end. But it's up to us as citizens to totally reject this stuff. That's what I'm doing this video. So please share it with your friends. And, I hope you agree with me. And please make any pertinent comments in the comments section below. So thanks very much.